right. Hi, Chaves County. I'm Tamara Schubert, your Family Consumer Science Agent for NMSU and Chaves County Extension.
And I'm Drew Garnett. I am the Ag Agent here in Chaves County.
So if you join me every month, you know that we pick a new topic. And this month we are going to talk about regrowing those scraps. So we produce about 35 million tons of trash. And one of the biggest parts of that is food waste.
Yes, and this, what we're going to be going over today is going to be a great simple way for you to save a few dollars and to help stay healthy.
And you know that's my favorite part of everything. So we're talking onions today and ways that we can regrow them from the scraps in our kitchen. So our favorite thing, one of my favorite things, is green onions. Easy to do, right?
Super easy. Actually, one of the easiest things you can grow is a green onion.
But they're also healthy for you.
Extremely healthy.
So they prevent infection. They are one of your cancer-fighting foods, and they help your cells keep from damaging.
And they just have great flavor and add a great flavor to any meal that you're making.
All right, so Drew, I started some, and they're really easy, right?
Yes. So right here, you can already see just this little cup of water. So what she did, if you want to demonstrate here, is we're just going to cut just this lower section off. When you grab the green onion, you'll see that there are some little bit of roots still on the base of the green onion. And you're just going to cut anywhere from 1 to 4 inches up, depending on your onion. And then you're going to take that and just stick it into a little jar of water. And you're going to leave it in that jar, well, little cup. Get creative with whatever you have available to you that's going to keep the root section down in the water while keeping the top where you just freshly cut up and out of the water. And that's very important.
And we'll put a zoom in section in just a little bit so you can see what we did. So I put a cup inside a cup just to be able to keep my green onions up. But one of the things I was telling Drew earlier is this one right here. When you look at your green onions, this one had no roots, no fuzzies, nothing on the end. But it doesn't matter, right?
No, and you may lose a couple that don't produce these roots, but in this case, you might as well try. You have nothing to lose by sticking it in the water. You're already using that green onion. You might as well try and get a little more out of it. And so in this case, it came back perfectly.
It did.
Plants are very resilient, and so in this case, we do have fresh, clean white roots coming out.
And these are ones I just put in the water 5 days ago, and they sprouted up really good.
It does not take long.
So after this point, Drew, what do we need to do with them?
All right, so you can do a couple of different things with these. You can leave them in the water if you want, and they'll continue to grow. Now, the problem with just using water to grow these, though, is you're going to lose a lot of that flavor, a lot of those nutrients that you want out of the green onion. And so the best thing to do is either the easiest is to use whatever you have available. In this case, we cut the top off of an old coffee can, filled it up with dirt, some soil, some potting mix, and poke some holes in the bottom so it adds some drainage. And we're just going to transfer these now that they've been in the water about 4 or 5 days. The key is to look for that clean, new white root growing at the bottom. And we're just going to take these and we're going to space them about 2 inches apart from each other in the soil. So we're going to get real technical here. Just take your finger, stick it into the soil, and then we're just going to go ahead and plop that right in. Kind of push the soil up against it to support it so it's sticking up. So now we have one.
And they need to make sure they leave the tops of those green sprouts sticking out, right?
Yes, you want to leave that green sprout sticking up because that green is what is actually absorbing the sunlight and photosynthesizing and giving that plant energy. So the roots are going to pull up the nutrients, they're going to pull up the water, but you want that green to stay up because that's what's going to help drive this growth a lot faster. And actually this one right here, I really love. You see tons of root growth and you have a new shoot already coming up. And so this is what, 4 or 5 days later,
right,
like we talked about. And again, we're just going to go about 2 inches roughly and real technically stick your finger down into the soil, make a nice little hole, and we're just going to plop our little green onion in.
So just a side note on these guys, this water cup has just been sitting in my windowsill in the kitchen just to absorb some extra sun.
Yes, these really just need about 6 to 7 hours of sunlight and they'll do great. And we'll do that with this last one. Look at that. Look at that root growth on this. Just doing wonderful. I'm going to make sure it goes in nice
I'm gonna go ahead and stick these other ones back in the water. We'll grow some more later.
We might as well just go ahead and grow some more. And so these right here are all now planted. And so I'm just gonna take it over to the sink and give it a little bit of water.
So once they're in the soil, Drew, how often should they be watered?
Just keep it moist, but you don't want to overdo it. Now this first watering, we're trying to get the water all the way through the soil and down into the bottom.
So soak the soil pretty good.
So soak the soil pretty good and make sure that they are in there well, that they're not loose. And
they gotta be standing up.
Yes. And then because it has holes in the bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it in the sink while it's gonna drain a little bit of that water out.
So while you're in the cup, make sure your roots are covered with water. If you've got them in there longer than a week, make sure it gets water changed because it does get kind of that slimy film that all our water does. Once they're in the pot, make sure your soil is moist.
Moist, but not soaked, all right? They need water, but they don't want to drown in it. They need oxygen just like we do.
Okay, so we have another type of onion.
Yes.
Tell me about this one.
So this is just another onion. I believe this one's a yellow onion. And this was just pulled out of our refrigerator right here. And you're gonna see that the onion has two sides to it. It has the part that the stalk was coming out, but it also has these little roots down here on the bottom. We can do the exact same thing that we're doing with these green onions, but with this onion. Of course, it's gonna take a little bit more time to actually grow out. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back and we're just gonna cut this onion about 1/4 of the way up from that root. So again, we want the root side.
So does it matter if we have that exterior peel on it? Does it have to come off? What's the opinion?
So there's varying opinions. There are people that say it doesn't matter. There's some people that like to peel it off. In my case, I'm gonna go ahead and peel it off. So what I've been seeing for the most part is what happens is because we're gonna stick this root down in some water so the roots are covered, but again, this part that we cut is clean. What happens with this outer paper layer is it starts to rot in that water. And so that can cause some funk, that can cause some fungal problems, and that can actually cause problems then with the rest of the onion. So just to avoid that, I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. And then actually we're gonna double up right here. And
I say we can put it right in that top.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna put it just a little bit of water in this little cap that is holding the other onions up.
Yep. So I will note, guys, that if you don't want your kitchen smelling like onions, pick a patio sill, a porch sill, porch railing, whatever you have, or in your kitchen. You know, in my little office, they smelt a lot, but once they were in my kitchen, I really didn't smell them.
That's probably because you're using onions in your cooking as you're going.
All the time.
At least I am.
All right, thank you for joining us today. Remember, next week we'll be back. I think we're talking garlic next week.
I think so.
And we'll check in on our onions and what you need to do from there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.